Welcome to Uncaged. Today we're speaking with Natalie Baumgartner. Natalie is the Chief Workforce Scientist and Director of the Achievers Workforce Institute. Natalie is also a partner and Chief Research Officer and Achievers Strategic Partner, Contemporary Leadership Advisors. Would love for you to tell us a little bit about you and your career to date.
Yeah, well, thanks so much. Well, I'm a psychologist by training, so I'm a clinical psychologist, and I've always focused on strength-based leadership and organizational culture, and so spent my career of about a decade as a consultant doing that work with C-suite executives and private equity investors and boards of directors. And then I spent another about 10 years co-founding a software company that measured and managed organizational culture. And that's how I found my way into the tech world, which has been a fantastic ride, and found myself at Achievers, as they acquired the company that I co-founded. And it's been wonderful to work inside a technology company that's so dedicated to conducting research and using that research around what helps employees have a great experience at work and injecting that into their technology. And then more recently, we had the great, powerful opportunity to partner with Contemporary Leadership Advisors, which is a boutique firm focused on partnering and serving as trusted advisors to the most senior leaders in the business arena around the globe. And so CLA has really become the services arm of Achievers, and it's been a wonderful experience to be able to both help inform technology and then help deliver that to the people.
I love it. And I love the title, Chief Workforce Scientist. But I'd love to learn a little bit more about Achievers and really how the science and how the technology works. I know that before the show, we talked a lot about culture and employee culture, engagement. Tell me what you guys are focused on.
Right. So Achievers started out as I Love Rewards, which was really, it was a tech organization focused on providing rewards to employees in the workplace. So providing that service to customers. And it has evolved over the last decade to truly focus on the impact that appreciation and recognition has on people at work. And it's profound. I sometimes refer to it as really the kryptonite in the business arena, because being appreciated and recognized for the impact you have and for the work that you do is one of the top motivators for employees in terms of having a really engaged, productive work experience. And it's a big predictor of employee retention and loyalty to one's organization. And so Achievers has started with recognition and has expanded over the years to create a platform that supports the success of employees on many different levels. So there are tools within the platform that, of course, focus on recognition, but also tools that focus on voice of the employee. So having a great avenue to understand what's in the hearts and minds of employees so that we can address issues before they become intractable problems. And also connection. So employee connections is another tool that Achievers has developed, which is really about creating opportunities for employees to connect with one another across the organization, regardless of where they are in the world, because we know how much connection and belonging is critical to people thriving at work. So Achievers really and truly serves our mission to change the way the world works by making workplaces wonderful places to be.
It's so interesting because the last 3 years have been such a roller coaster in terms of how we work and the culture of work, and balancing that with working at home and now pulls back to the office. What's the focus and trend and that you're seeing right now that's kind of the critical issue that employers are wrestling with?
Well, one of the ways I've been kind of capturing this huge body of changes that have taken place in the workplace arena is thinking about humanity. And I really believe that the pandemic in its own way, brought humanity back to work. And I mean, starting with simply all of us being on Zoom and having our, animals and children interacting with our colleagues and our clients and our customers and our constituents. But, I think it became so much more than that, because what people started to realize as they were working in different ways, working from home, working remotely, is that I think there was this renewed awareness about what matters most to us as individuals, and the fact that that differs from individual to individual. But ultimately, the two factors that have risen to the surface now, if we look, if we kind of think over the last few years, are flexibility to work where, how, and when one wants, and connection. That we absolutely need to have a sense of connection and belonging at work. And those, I think of that flexibility and belonging and connection, these are the two factors that are the glue for all of us, inside the work world today.
It's lovely to hear it kind of encapsulated into those two words, because flexibility, I get, we've been talking about it forever. Connection, I think, is a fascinating one, and it's one that we're wrestling with for sure, certainly with new recruits, where we're trying to kind of get them into a culture and maybe train them a little bit, getting that connection that almost would happen naturally if you were in a classic office setting, is something that we have to really be much more conscious about now. I love those factors.
You just said it perfectly, Bant, that we used to almost get infused, I think, with the experience of culture almost by osmosis, right? We're sitting at our desks, we're hearing conversations, the way people are communicating, what gets valued inside the office in terms of where investments are made of resources, how people dress, how people interact. And so now the need to have that deep experience of the culture of an organization has not left, and that's what I mean by that, because that's a human need, I believe. Right. And so now we have to think about, how do we provide those infusions of culture in a different cadence? So it's not just like an everyday by osmosis, but we need to be much more intentional about how, where, and when we provide that experience to the people who make up our work, our organizations.
So I'm going to change gears a little bit here, Natalie, and I'm going to ask kind of a soft question, but I think really at the core of culture, I think, which is, as you think about your own work experience, what drives that passion for you in what you do?
Well, I mean, I'm a researcher by training, right? And research tells us that purpose and connection drives joy at work, and that's certainly true for me. I have 3 young daughters, and I reflect that back to them often, letting them know that they know they're my priority, but also that I love my work. And what I love most is, I've spent my career helping organizations use data and insights to create a powerful, aligned, engaging culture. And that need, it's just more palpable now than ever before. It's because of all the reasons we've been discussing, and we need a new roadmap. And so I love being able to collaborate and bring in research and experience and work with great thought leaders and work with wonderful customers and clients and colleagues to help try to create sense of, how do we do that? How do we create an aligned, powerful, engaging culture that appreciates and recognizes people and makes them feel like they belong at work? And that is, it truly, really and truly brings me a lot of joy and a deep sense of purpose.
Natalie, perfect alignment with your job, I see here. So that's great. But as we talk about going forward here, I try to focus on the near future and not the far future, because as you rightly pointed before we started, it's pretty hard to know these days what's going to happen in the further future. But the near future, 2023, here we are at a moment where we have this recession word thrown around sometimes, which certainly impacts employees and their psyche. What's your thought for the rest of this year? What's going on?
Well, I agree. We can't look too far forward. We have to be in the present. So it's a good exercise for all of us. And I think we cannot underestimate the importance of one, listening to our employees. I know there's oftentimes a little bit of reticence around asking the question that we don't know if we can answer, right? So if we say, what do you want? What do you need? And we aren't convinced that we can provide it or want to provide it, so we don't ask. And I would say that has to shift. We need to have an ongoing two-way conversation with our people to understand what they want, what will help them feel that sense of connection and belonging and appreciation at work, and that we can't afford to lose talent, because even if we have a recession that lands, we know unemployment, we just had a new jobs report come out, unemployment is still quite low. And so we're not in a circumstance where we can afford to lose talent, whether we're in an industry, an organization that is expanding or contracting. We need to create that connection, that glue with our people, and making sure that we have a culture that drives belonging and connection that's really well aligned with our core values, that they're not just things that are sitting on the wall, but that we've refreshed them, we've renewed them, that they are living and breathing inside our companies, and that we're living them with our people is critically important.
Yeah, well said, well encapsulated. It's a really interesting time because you do see, obviously, layoffs in the tech sector heavily for sure, but it does seem very organized to the point where maybe I'm a CEO, I'm maybe a little skeptical. I'm certainly part of a Q3, Q4 planning meeting, and they said, well, we got to cut 10%, and they already knew. It's not really a reaction to the markets per se, but very, very much part of a larger, maybe ongoing plan. I don't know. It's been interesting to watch that.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think leaders and employees all have really, what needs to happen is that we have to work together to navigate this changing landscape, because right, there are some realities that are settling in. Certainly people in my world, those of us focused on culture and engagement, 2 years ago could not have predicted that we'd be where we are today, which is a world that really is focused on, creating an opportunity for employees to feel that they belong and are connected, but in a world that looks so different from the world that we were sitting in when we entered the pandemic. And so the needs haven't changed, in terms of feeling that deep sense of fulfillment at work. Mm-hmm. That will never change. Yeah. And so we just need to, navigate that path together. And we know that when we drive this, a culture of connection and belonging and purpose, that we all win. And so that, I think, just needs to be our North Star as we navigate whatever's to come.
Natalie, if someone wanted to learn more about what you and the Achievers team or the Contemporary Leadership Advisors team are working on, where's the best place to find you?
Yeah, please. So the Achievers website, so www.achievers.com, and you can learn a lot more about how Achievers is using research-infused technology to change the way the world works. And similarly with Contemporary Leadership Advisors, we have an entire culture practice. And so you can peruse that page and learn about the solutions that we offer to organizations, think tanks, webinars, and other solution offerings to help organizations navigate this path and create an experience of connection and belonging at work for their people.
Great. Well, Natalie, it's been great talking to you. I would say that we're talking about navigating not the future, but the today of work and how to really manage it as effectively as possible. We've been speaking with Natalie Baumgartner. We've been talking to her really about leadership. We've been talking to her about employee engagement and how really bringing together the tools like the Achievers Employee Success Platform with some of the broader services and solutions to deliver this stuff is absolutely critical today to keeping employees engaged and moving us forward to make a more successful and fulfilling work experience. So Natalie, thank you so much for being on Uncaged today, and we look forward to having you back.
Oh, thanks so much, Ben. I look forward to chatting again. Appreciate the opportunity.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.